There was a time when Punjab did not sleep. Not because of celebration, because of waiting. Waiting for the knock on the door. Waiting for the phone that never rang again. Waiting for a son who left at dusk and did not return by dawn. This is not only a story of politics, it is the story of living through fear and learning how to carry it. At the center of those years stood one man, K.P.S. Gill. To ministers and his close friends, he is the man who saved Punjab. To others, his era represents the years of fear. Both memories live together, and neither one is easy to forget. This is the story of the man, the methods, and the memories that broke and rebuilt Punjab. Roads emptied before sunset, and markets closed before nightfall. The very institutions of the state were weakening. Politics hesitated. The government was losing its grip on law and order. Into this vacuum stepped Kanwar Pal Singh Gill, a senior police officer given extraordinary authority in extraordinary times. His mission, as he described it, was simple: restore order, at any cost. Gill did not arrive in Punjab as a peacemaker. He arrived as a commander. Under his leadership, the police force was transformed into a highly aggressive, intelligence-driven machine. He expanded intelligence networks, gathering information from every village and town. He greenlit aggressive operations, pushing units into the heart of Punjab's most fragile and inflamed regions during those turbulent years. A policy of absolute intolerance for violence was adopted. There would be no negotiation, no compromise. Supporters of this approach say it was exactly what Punjab needed. They point to the tangible results: markets that reopened, buses that started running on schedule again, schools that filled with the sounds of children, not silence. Slowly, the noise of bombs gave way to the noise of life. For the first time in years, people felt a semblance of safety. Elections, once unthinkable, returned to Punjab's soil. The state, which had been on the brink of collapse, was pulled back. But beneath the surface of this returning calm, another sound began to rise, the sound of unanswered questions. For thousands of families, peace did not arrive with celebration. It arrived with a deafening silence. Human rights groups, independent journalists, and later, court petitions began to document a darker side to the story. They recorded serious allegations from this period: unlawful detentions, where young men were picked up without a warrant; enforced disappearances, where they vanished without a trace; and encounters whose official versions were heavily disputed. Mothers stood outside police stations for days, pleading for information about their sons. Fathers carried worn photographs of their missing children through endless court corridors. An entire generation of kids grew up learning the language of legal petitions instead of bedtime stories. Critics argued that the system Gill created began to measure success purely by results. Officers who delivered those results, who neutralized militants, were praised, rewarded, and promoted. This culture, they claimed, encouraged a brutal race against time and fear, where due process was often seen as an obstacle. The line between justice and vengeance blurred. Supporters of Gill and his methods had a powerful reply. Without such force, Punjab would not have survived. The state was at war, and in war, difficult choices must be made. Between these two truths, the necessity of force and the pain it caused, Punjab learned just how complicated survival can be. As the 1990s progressed, the violence faded. The daily funerals slowed. The sirens stopped screaming through the night. But the grief remained. It settled into the foundations of countless homes across the state. In thousands of households, there is still a chair no one sits on, a name no one finishes saying, a story that stops halfway through. For these families, the end of terror did not end the pain. It only made the pain quieter, more private. The wound was no longer bleeding, but it had not closed. After the conflict collapsed, K.P.S. Gill left Punjab. He took on national roles, advising on security matters across the country. He wrote and spoke without apology, always defending his methods as necessary and just. He firmly believed that history would judge him kindly, seeing him as the savior who did what needed to be done when no one else could. History, however, does not judge quickly. It listens to all the voices, and the voices against Gill did not stay silent. Families, determined to find answers, pursued justice in the High Court, the National Human Rights Commission, and eventually, the Supreme Court of India. Their decades-long struggle brought some of the darkest chapters of that era into the light. Books and documentaries began to meticulously examine those years. Journalists returned to the villages, piecing together stories of loss and survival. Researchers traced the deep scars left on the social and psychological fabric of Punjab across generations. The debate raged on, often simplified into two conflicting statements. One side kept repeating, "He saved Punjab," the other kept whispering, "But at what cost?" The truth is, both are part of the same complex memory. Then, in 1995, an incident occurred that cracked the image of untouchable power Gill had cultivated. At a social function in Delhi, Rupandiol Bajaj, a senior IAS officer, accused Gill of misbehavior and assault. This wasn't a battlefield controversy. It was a personal confrontation that put Gill's conduct under a national microscope. For the first time, the man who once commanded Punjab's streets with near-total authority stood before the courts not as a commander, but as an accused citizen. The case dragged on for years. Ultimately, The Supreme Court upheld his conviction, reducing the sentence but leaving the judgment standing. It was a powerful reminder to the entire country that power, no matter how immense, does not stand above the law. So, how should Punjab remember K.P.S. Gill today? Not as a hero carved in stone, and not as a simple villain either. Punjab survived, that much is undeniable. The state pulled back from the edge of total collapse. He was the hard hand that forced the chaos to retreat. But countless families also survived with wounds that time has not healed, and memories that no peace has ever fully erased. Peace returned to Punjab, but for some it arrived carrying ghosts. Today the fields of Punjab are green again. The markets are loud with commerce and conversation. The roads are full of life. But in many homes, there is still a photograph on the wall that no festival, no harvest, and no passage of time has ever erased. History will keep debating K.P.S. Gill, Punjab will keep remembering those years. And somewhere between the victory of restored order and the loss felt by so many lives a difficult Punjabi truth, a truth that no book, no court, and no documentary can ever fully contain. Thank you for watching MT Entertainment. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into the complex chapters of our history.